The big trending story that has dominated social media today is about the Satanic monument that was unveiled in Detroit. The group of Satan worshipers has been shopping for a state capitol to place their monument, but they haven't found one yet. They tried the Oklahoma State House grounds next to the Ten Commandments monument, but that didn't work out. So here to discuss is Chuck Limandri from the Freedom of Conscience Defense Fund. Chuck, welcome. First of all, congratulations. You've worked for years on the Mount Soledad cross. It became a national story, and it finally looks like that gets to stay, and that's a huge victory for those of us who have any sort of moral principle whatsoever guiding us. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Dr. Gina. I appreciate that, but congratulations really goes to a lot of good people who helped us along the way, including, of course, the heroic veterans that the cross stands there to honor them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this Satanic monument, of course, we all believe in the freedom of speech. I hate seeing some of the things I see out there. I don't like the Westboro Baptist protesters, for example. I don't like when people burn flags. I certainly don't like the idea of a Satanic monument. To what degree does the First Amendment protect a Satanic monument on public grounds?
You know, that's an open question. It depends if it's going to be a public forum where you have other types of displays and it represents a place where people can express themselves religiously and culturally. They probably have a pretty good argument that if you're going to allow one type of display, you should allow another type of display. On the other hand, I think you got to look at what is the message you're trying to send, and if it's a message just intended to be offensive to other people, that's the analogy you used appropriately, the Westboro Baptist Church saying things like God hates gays. You know, that is not helpful to any discussion. It's highly offensive to people to say that, even if you're someone that believes in traditional marriage. It's not the appropriate approach. I don't think it's an appropriate approach for people that don't share the religious beliefs of Christians, Muslims, and Jews, all of whom view Satan as an enemy of their faith, to be honoring Satan in the way these people are attempting to do. And they say, well, we don't really believe in God or don't believe in Satan. Well, they don't believe in anything, but yet they want to put a statue up that offends other people's religious beliefs. And I think that's objectionable, and I think good arguments can be made. That's not appropriate speech. Hate speech is not allowed. Defamation is not allowed. Fighting words is not allowed. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. So not all speech is protected. So I would take a real good look at this, but obviously they have arguments that if you're going to allow some speech, you have to allow even offensive speech. I get that. But then again, what is their real motivation here? Just to make people mad and angry? I think that's irresponsible.
I think so too. Do you think this is what our Christian founders intended?
Well, obviously not. I mean, the founding fathers, you know, starting with George Washington, the father of the country, made it very clear that religion and morality are the pillars of our form of government. And we stop being religious people, we're going to stop being moral people. Our laws are based on our morals are based on our religion. And one founding father after the other, I read just this morning something that Benjamin Franklin had said, is that we believe our rights come from God. That's why he had the sessions of the Continental Congress opened in prayer, and that once we stop honoring God as the giver of our rights, can we expect him to continue to bless us? Abraham Lincoln said the same thing. So no, throughout our history, the founders have made it clear, and our great religious leaders and political leaders who we revere have all said consistently that when we stop being a virtuous people, we can't expect to have the same liberties that we've enjoyed. And so I think this really is detrimental to our system of government and our way of life.
So would some of the same arguments you would use be those arguments that folks have used to take the Confederate flag and Confederate war memorials away, saying that this is inciting, for example?
You could use that argument. You know, I haven't followed that, and being from San Diego, not from the South, I don't quite understand the sentiment the way it's been expressed by some people about the Confederate flag. To me, it's always seemed more of a historical thing. But again, you need to be respectful of people's beliefs. And the people who are putting up this statue of Satan are not respectful of people's beliefs. They said they're doing it to be provocative, and they're doing it to anger people. They said they want to have a debate. Fine, let's debate. But don't start out by insulting someone and saying that your beliefs are not only wrong, but they're silly, and we're going to do that by mocking you. And that's what they're doing. And we Christians and Jews who believe in the Bible believe when God says, I will not be mocked. And so they're potentially bringing down God's condemnation on all of us. And we don't want that to happen. Okay, that's what the founders said would happen. They believed, but for God, we could not have defeated the greatest power on earth at the time, the British Empire. but God intervened and America won the Revolutionary War. That's what the founders believed, and they said it to a man. So do we want to have God's favor and God's support? And if we do we do that by insulting him?
But doesn't that mean then, though, Chuck, that we have to acknowledge that there is some sort of absolute truth?
Well,
I mean,
that's right.
I mean, doesn't
right.
it come down to that? I mean, if we're going to take God out of everything, then what makes it, what real ground do we have to stand on to say there's this truth that is God, and therefore we don't want God's condemnation by placing a satanic symbol on our state or our national properties?
Well, you're absolutely correct, Dr. Gina. It really comes down to moral relativism, and that's what these Satanists say they're arguing for. They're for everything that
But that's really what the entire ACLU, Southern Poverty Law Center, that's what they're really all arguing for.
That's exactly correct. But again, without any absolute truth, then what basis do we have to have a fair system of laws? And what basis do we have to say what the founders said, who were the first ones in the history of the world, to say we have inalienable rights because they come from God, and no government can take them away. If there is no God, then the government can and will take them away, as it always has throughout all of history. That's the foundation for our system of government and our Bill of Rights. So what they're doing is really anti-American. I'm not saying people, you know, are bad citizens for expressing certain views that I don't agree with, but we have to understand that this is taking a sledgehammer to the foundation of our system of government, which has guaranteed our rights because they come from God. They're saying there is no God. Then fine, the rights come from the state, like they do in this is the old Soviet Union and in China. And what the state gives, the state can take away. That's not the America that we have known all of our lives that made us a great country.
You are much more diplomatic than I am, Chuck Limandri, because I would say that I do think it's a really bad precedent to set, and I would say that I do think it's pretty evil, and I think it's very un-American, and I think they have no part in this country. There are plenty of countries out there where they don't have absolute moral truth, but in this country we were founded on Judeo-Christian principles. I think we need to be worried about that and things like Iran. But thank you so much for being with us.
Glad to be with you.